If one of your goals this year is to find a new job, the old adage of it's not what you know, it's who you know could not be more important. Meghan Rothschild, president of Chick Media, is here to share some very helpful advice to make your next move a good one. Good morning, Meghan. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So you want to talk about networking today. So it's not what you know, it's who you know.
That is so important. I can't tell you how many times my network has advanced my career or been able to get me more clients or allowed me to help connect other people who just needed to be in one another's life. So it's a critically important piece of your career goals.
But there are certain things, there's certain do's and don'ts when it comes to networking. Let's cover some of the do's.
Yes. So the first thing I think that's important about networking is that you need to also bring a little bit of value when you're reaching out to people. You have to be proactive and not be afraid. I think people are sort of regressing during these times where we're doing a lot of virtual meetings to being nervous about, I don't want to say cold calling someone, but reaching out to someone who you might not have the best relationship with. And so I think not being afraid and also remembering that you have value to bring to that conversation as well. Even if you're looking for a job or you're looking to get something out of that person, what can you bring to the table that will help benefit them as well?
In that scenario, what's the don't?
What's the don't?
So do you like not show up and just ask this person for something and not offer something?
Yeah, so I love the phrase, can I pick your brain? I always tell people to stay away from that, especially if you're trying to reach out to someone who maybe you follow, you admire, someone who you've looked up to during their career, you follow them on social media. Can I pick your brain? To a lot of people kind of means, can I steal some ideas from you and not pay you for them? Right? Especially people who intellectual property is their product.
Right.
It's really hard for people to say, okay, yeah, I guess I can spare an hour when they're getting paid by other people for that consultation.
Exactly. They don't want to give their work out for free.
Exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about finding networking opportunities. So what are some of the ideas that people should look for to find networking opportunities?
So there are a lot of organizations in this local community here that you can turn to. There's adult networking. There's one for young professionals. There's industry
chambers
specific.
of commerce, the YPS, which we've talked about
Exactly.
before.
Yep. Ad club, industry specific. So if you work in a certain industry and you want to network with like-minded professionals, so simply doing some online research, Googling, using social media to find those opportunities, looking for events. There's plenty of networking events. Some of them are operating virtually right now because of the pandemic.
Right.
Some are in person. So just doing a little bit of research is really going to help you find what is the best fit for you.
Now, in your experience, have you found that, if you've gone to school somewhere, it could even be high school, community college, or even a four-year college, do those institutions have groups that you can kind of meet up with to brainstorm and make connections?
Absolutely. There are, if you've gone to a private school or even some of the state schools, there are organizations that or departments within those schools. That's their entire goal, right?
Really?
Their
Okay.
alumni department is meant to connect alumni together. And then, of course, there's the Career Center that most colleges have on their campus, which is meant to really help undergraduates get jobs when they graduate. But that doesn't mean that you as an alumni can't pick up the phone and say, you know what, I'm ready for a career change, or I'm looking to get out of my current job. Can you connect me with other alum, to talk about these opportunities? Because that's really what the college is there to do once you've graduated. We don't just walk away from college and then go, okay, thanks for that 4 years or 5 years, however many years you spent. And I always like to say, if you went to a private school like I did, you're still paying, so you might as well still use that network.
Exactly. One of the things I say to my kids, and they're in their early 20s, I've been in the media business now 32 years, and I've crossed a lot of paths. And you never know when one of those old connections might come back to help.
Absolutely. And I think the key here is relationship building, right? So I see a lot of people who, they do something online or they have like a quick little meeting with someone and then they kind of walk away from it. And that's really not going to grow your network. You have to continue to build a relationship. And like you said, you might meet with someone and then all of a sudden a year later, you're like, oh my gosh, I had coffee with that person. I should call them back because I've got this opportunity for them. Networking goes both ways. So it's all about building that relationship.
You mentioned in passing earlier social media. There are many forms of social media, but the one when it comes to business that's crucial is LinkedIn.
Yes, and in fact, a lot of companies right now are requiring you to apply through LinkedIn. They don't even want your resume. They just want you to send a link to your LinkedIn profile. So for those who have been a little skeptical about being on social media, you don't need to be on the more social platforms like Facebook and Instagram if you don't want to be, but definitely having an up-to-date LinkedIn profile, really building out a portfolio on there, making your connections, getting recommendations. We could do a whole segment on LinkedIn, but having that profile up to date could just land you a job.
You know, it's interesting you say that. I have a good friend of mine. He's a couple years older than me, so he's in his mid 50s to late 50s. Unfortunately, found himself out of work. He's using LinkedIn for everything.
Yeah, because you can find mutual connections. So it's a great platform.
Meghan Rothschild, thank you so very much for sharing all that. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having
Good
me.
seeing you.